Okay, hello everyone. We are Group 17, and the topic of our report is the long-term rental apartments crumble in China. And in 2020, the Danke apartment, which is one of China's largest online apartment rental platforms, crumbled. And the collapse of the Danke's controversial business model sent shockwaves through the China's massive rental market. And today, our goal is to find why this happens and how to solve this problem by some policy. So firstly, let's look at the development path of the rental apartment. From 1990s, the service apartment was introduced to China from Europe and America. And from 2000, the large-scale apartment business began to take shape in mainland China. And from 2012 to 2013, the real estate market degenerated and many apartment companies emerged. From 2016, the rental apartment entered into a rapid development, and the rental scale reached 1.3 trillion yuan in 2016. So why this rapid development happens? The first reason is a favorable policy. Since in 2016, the government issued several opinions on accelerating the cultivation and development of the housing rental market, and it's beneficial to the development of the rental apartment. And we can also find reasons from the supply side. So real estate market is changed from the incremental market to stock market. Many people buy house and the vacancy rate in China, we can say is very high and it's reached 22%. And from the demand side, many people they have the need to rent house in big cities because the urbanization rate in recent years is very high and we can see it increased rapidly. And the model change is also very important. The traditional model is the C2C model. That is tenant looking for a house and the landlord will looking for a tenant. This is very inefficient and the information costs and the transaction costs are also both very high. But now the new mode is more efficient and we can say it's a B2C model. The long-range apartment company is like an intermediary agency and the landlord can entrust the management of house to the long-range apartment. And the apartment will have many resources of the house and the tenant can choose house from this company. And the large-scale mode will increase the housing turnover rate. And then what about the current situation and why it's so popular? Let's invite other students.
Before focusing on the policy, let's start by looking at some statistics. We can see that the market size of long-term rental apartments experienced a steady growth from 2016 to 2019. Although it might be impacted by COVID-19, this industry seems to be promising. Moreover, people of age 25 to 30 and people with monthly income ranging from 5,000 to 10,000 are the biggest user groups of long-term rental apartments, while the amount of female users slightly exceed male users. The formal definition of long-term rental apartments would be a mode in which the agents rent the houses from skater owners, unified decorated them, and then rent to tenants. The tenants pay the mid to long-term rental fee at one time to agents, which provide more transparent information and services. At the same time, helps the owner save the trouble of decoration and operation. Usually, the agents would pay the rental fee to house owner in a shorter term, like once a month. The profit should be generated from the difference from the amount and the frequency of the rents the agents receive from tenants and pay to house owners. It has a lot of advantages comparing to traditional mode, just like we listed in this table. However, to ensure market competitiveness and the rapid expansion, those agents introduced some financial institutions and the rental loan. The agents recommended, sometimes even induced tenants to borrow from the financial institutions to pay off the rental for 6 months to the entire year. Then the company uses those funds to pay monthly rents to the owner, while expanding their market size. The tenants turn to monthly repayments to financial institutions have relieved their financial pressure. Owners have guaranteed rental income, and the long-term rental companies have increased their capital pools. This seems to be a win-win situation.
But why does the long-term rental apartment fit well with the rental loans? For the apartment itself, it is because of its own shortage of the funds. Because many apartment platforms play the role of second-hand landlord in the process. The company itself is not a big enterprise and does not have sufficient funds to purchase real estate, so it can only serve as an intermediary platform to collect other individual landlords' houses and then sublet them collectively. Because there is now no property rights, it is also difficult to obtain loan for banks. It is precisely because of the status of the second-hand landlord that the platform can only continue to be profitable through a continuous expansion. But such a background factor makes the platform crumble inevitable. The logic is this: the platform can only survive by cooperating with the rental loans due to the shortage of funds. However, the rental lender no supervision on the platform use of funds, and the expansion of a long-term rental apartment is inherently risky. This leads to the situation that the platform took the money that was supposed to be given to the landlord, but they lost it. In the end, the landlord did not get the money and they want to repose the houses. And the tenants not only have no house to live in, but also continue to repay the loan.
Here comes our last question. What could the government do to help the long-term rental apartment? Make some regulations? The government has given its answer in April this year. The new policy strengthens supervision from 7 aspects, including clarifying what kinds of companies could enter the market, emphasizing supervision of the housing rental funds, and most importantly, it prohibits relevant contents of rental loan written in the contract. We should notice that this policy still allows consumers to apply for the rental loan directly from banks, but the money must be given to the consumers instead of the apartment. In other words, the rental loan is not allowed anymore. This regulation, of course, tackles the rental loan problem at the source. However, it does not solve the fundamental problem, which is, without the rental loan, how could the apartment survive with the capital shortage? As we have shown, the apartment actually does benefit the society, and we do not want them just to disappear or just a big company with enough capital could survive and finally they monopolize the market. Therefore, for the policy part, we mainly want to answer that how could the government provide some help to the capital shortage problem? Let's first consider the financing problem. Due to the lack of stable cash flow and assets, it's difficult for the apartment to apply funds from banks. The government could try to encourage and promote financial innovation, such as lower the launch barrier of ABS and designing new financial products suitable for the apartment. On the other hand, the government could encourage companies with enough capital to invest in the rental market, such as insurance companies and state-owned enterprises. Both of them could provide large-scale capital and afford a long payback period. The apartment could give them a stable return. Another advantage of the state-owned enterprises is that it could buy and develop the rental land and let the apartment operate it, which could also save their cost. For the profit part, if the apartment keeps the current business pattern, even if it could have enough capital, the profit is very small. Something must be changed to have long-term development. Firstly, at the current stage, the government could provide subsidy or reduce tax, but this could not last for a long time. So secondly, we will try to increase the profit from the cost side. The government could allow and encourage property developers to get involved in the rental industry. Therefore, fewer people will share the profit, and also the developer, as the owner of the property, could easily get funds from banks. Another thing the government could do is to let the developer transform the abandoned commercial land to rental land, so the apartment will have more land to develop and save lots of cost. For other agencies that could not afford the development cost, they could try to adopt the hosting mode instead of the chattering mode. The chattering mode is the majority adopted mode now, and its profit is the price difference of rents, while the profit from hosting mode is the agency and management fee, which allows the apartment to bear less risk and cost. In addition to that, the government could help establish the information platform to let different agencies, including the apartment, the tenants, and the decoration contractors, share information and communicate directly to save transaction costs. For example, when something is wrong with the air conditioner, the tenants could directly go to the contractors instead of the apartment. Finally, to improve the revenue, the government could encourage apartments to increase brand competitiveness
is by improving service quality rather than expanding. To summarize, to get out of the development dilemma, the financial and operational way must be changed, and the government could focus on these two parts to have the long-term rental apartments. Also, some changes should be done by the apartments. The government could do something and give them some directions to encourage them to change. That's all for illustrations on the long-term rental apartments problem. Thank you very much.